ISO, Indies. Yeah, live free, speak your peace. Stay humble in these streets, yeah. In these streets. Let's go. Playground parks with the trees and the cars. Brownstone buildings with the kids on the porch. Murals on the walls for the ones that we lost.
Everybody, welcome back to the 180SX RB conversion. In this video we're going to be getting rid of this massive hunk of stuff here. This is an ABS unit. Also remove all of these lines here as well. That's going to tidy up the bay really nice. It's also going to mean that we're going to have a really good pedal feel and not have the ABS kicking in when we're doing hard braking and track use, because this car will be used for a bit of that. So first thing I'm going to do is drain any fluid out of the system. So I'll undo a couple of these pipes, drop them down into a bowl. This is brake fluid, so just be real careful not to get it on any of your paintwork or anything, because it will just strip it right off. And so we can actually, once that's drained out, we can actually take off all of those lines and that big unit.
On the corner, let me see what's in store. Subway stations with the maps in the cars. Summer cookouts, uncle got the sandals on. Statue of Liberty, we holding up the torch. If they ask where I'm from, tell them this is New York. We from the home of the biggie, people blowing they ciggies. And these girls going wild cause they flashing they this litty. Watch your steps cause these blocks be. We grew up on that bad boy in 96 with Diddy. Take a walk, come with me. Let me show you what really go down. Fiends on the corner, every hood got...
Okay, so today is new gloves day, which is always nice. We'll see how long these last. These have got the impacty bit. Some people are like, why are you such a wuss wearing gloves to work on cars? And well, it just helps give better grip and stuff, and I'm a bit of a wuss. So the massive great ABS unit is out. And you can see the lines there. I've had them dripping into a drip tray to get all the fluid out and not let that go on all the bodywork of the car. So the next thing to do is actually to take the lines out themselves. We're going to undo them at the master cylinder. We'll undo them at the bit that's inside the wheel well as well. So we'll get the car up and take the wheels off and get in there. And then that'll leave us a whole load more room all around here. And probably got a couple of clips and things that we can take out that we won't be using as well. So in the many years of working on cars, I've never invested in a brake pipe spanner. So every time I undo brake pipes, I use just a normal open-ended. Obviously, if you can get a ring on there, if you've got the other end open, then do. But yeah, I use normal open-ended, and I kind of have to pull this face every time I do it, because there's like a 20% chance it will round off, probably. So lots of WD-40 and keep the threads clean, but mainly invest in some brake pipe spanners, because they'll probably save you a hell of a lot of time.
Deli or crowns, cops pull us over, it don't matter if you black or you brown. City never sleeps, this the place that where hip hop was found. Playground parks with the trees and the cars. Brownstone buildings with the...
We've got all the brake lines out and everything is looking much more tidy in here. I mean, imagine if you could just run no brake lines, that would be the tidiest bay. We're going to have a look at the GK Tech ones. So here are the old lines that we've taken out. And here are the GK Tech ones that are going in. So, nice and simple. We have one that runs down from the master cylinder down to this T-piece, and that splits for the left and right front calipers. And then we've got one that runs down from the master cylinder to the rear on there. Now, if my memory is correct, the rear one does the front brakes and the front one does the rear brakes. But that's on this master cylinder. We might be having to play around with this one up here, that looks a bit crappy, because it's much thinner, and I know with the RB we're going to need as much room as possible. So if we've got a booster that's going to sit sort of half the width, and then this is going to sit further back, we might want to use that one. So I'm going to have a look at that in a bit. I've got the lines just finger tight in here, just because I want to work out where I'm going to mount and everything. And I think the next thing to do is probably take off this line here. Now this line is not actually a brake line, although it runs with it. This is actually the charcoal canister line, so it runs all the way to the front here to this little fitting here. Now we're not going to be running a charcoal canister, that's sort of an emissions thing that we just don't need. So I'm going to take that whole pipe out, and that means then we can utilise that mounting point that's there and this mounting point that's here to be able to mount our brake lines onto with the P-clips, because I don't want to be drilling into the bulkhead of the vehicle. Also, I need to find somewhere down here to be able to mount our T-piece, and the T-piece is the bit that comes down from the front brake line and splits out to the left and right calipers. So we'll have a little look. There is a bracket there which this fuel line is on, but we're going to be using that with the new fuel line, so there's got to be somewhere there that we can utilize to do this.
Murals on the walls for the ones that we lost. Bodegas on the corner, let me see what's in store. Subway stations with the maps and the cars. Summer cookouts, uncle got the sandals on. Statue of Liberty, we holding up the torch if they ask where I'm from.
So this pipe runs pretty much to the back of the vehicle, and it's the outside line, so nice and easy to recognise. And what it does is it filters from the fuel tank. Now, what we're going to do is cut it off about here, so sort of just before the rear subframe. Keep it up here, but it can just vent out to atmosphere. So I've got all the lines in position, and what I did with the T-piece is I know I wanted it on this sort of bottom chassis rail somewhere. This fuel line rail was actually attached into that hole there, but I noticed there was one next to it that wasn't being used, so I moved that one over, because if I put it here I wouldn't be able to get the ends on properly. So I moved that one over, put this one into here, and just pulled this out a little bit so we've got clearance for the top line there, and that runs up nicely there. I've also put a rivet nut into the hole that was here and just used a dome head bolt to go through and hold the P-clip in place. And then I will put another one on this side. As you can see this clip here, and I'll have to do something up the top here, but I'm not quite sure what yet because I'm going to need something just to hold that in place. With brake lines like this, the worst you can get is flex, because when you put pressure in it, it's going to want to flex a little bit, and when it does flex, that is less power that is going to the brakes, in theory. So we want to try and stop that as much as possible.
I look around as I'm viewing the city. Skyscrapers and bridges, bright lights, fast life, Manhattan living. Cross over downtown, welcome to the concrete. The Nets to Barclays, the Mets to Yankees, Ubers and yellow taxis.
So the next bit to tackle is the brake master cylinder, and what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this out and disconnect it. Because of the thickness of this master cylinder on here, and I know that we're going to have tight for room with the RB in there, I want to fit on this booster here, but what I want to do is use that master cylinder on this booster, so the whole thing sits about an inch or so back, further back. I don't know if that's possible. Looks like they're sort of the same fittings. That was off of, I think, an NA33 Skyline from memory, and this certainly looks like a newer unit, but that one's got too many ports on it, and so we want to use the master cylinder off this one. So for this, we need to venture into the car and up under here, and you'll see there's a clip that goes onto the brake pedal, this huge great brake pedal that's here, and we're going to unclip that, and then behind that there are 4 bolts that hold the master cylinder in place, and we're just about to pull it out. Okay, wish me luck, I'm going in. So that little pin I showed you, it's got a little bit on the end that you need to squeeze with some pliers. Fine, no problem. Apart from you squeeze it, it goes through the first bit, and then it's surrounded by the first bit, and won't go through the second bit, because it's a slightly smaller hole. And that's the bit on the pedal itself. So you need to get a flat screwdriver in there and just poke each side and pull it at the same time, and that eventually relieves it. So that's that bit done. We'll leave that in there, that's going to go back in a little bit. Let's pull that master cylinder out.
With some butters, we heard savvy when tight jeans was baggy. From JFK to LaGuardia, city that never sleeps, insomnia. Home of Junior Mafia, word. Playground parks.
So I do have to go back under the driver's seat for one more thing right now, and that is taking the brake pedal out. I've got a replacement S13 pedal to go in. You can cut down the original pedal if you want to, and get a rubber boot to fit over and make that all snug. That's what I've done on the R34 because I couldn't find a brake pedal for it. But for this one, I managed to find a set of pedals, so we're just going to unbolt that, change the bits over, and bolt that back up. I'm going to leave the master cylinder up at the moment because we need to drill the hole for the clutch master cylinder. So I did a little bit of spring cleaning in this corner while we've got everything out. It makes it nice and easy and looks a whole lot nicer. You can see that grimy corner over there, look. Compared to this one. So now the pedal box is out, we've actually made some room underneath the dash for drilling the hole for our clutch, pedal and master cylinder. We need 3 holes, 1 each side for the bolts to go through and 1 in the middle for the actual cylinder part to go through as well. So if we look up on the inside, you can see this bit here. It's like a plastic covering for where the bits are for it, but it doesn't go all the way through, so we do need to drill. So I'm going to get back under the dash and clear that area out so we've got room around it, and then have a look and see what needs to be done. So for the clutch master cylinder, I'm going to start with the 2 holes to keep it in place, and then we'll work out where the middle larger hole goes after that. I'm going to use this one here to give me room underneath the dash, so you can just attach a drill onto here and that drives this at a 90-degree angle, and I'll do it from the inside outwards.
In the cars, brownstone buildings with the kids on the porch, murals on the walls for the ones that we lost, bodegas on the corner, let me see what's in store, subway stations with the maps in the cars, summer cookouts, uncle got the sandals on, Statue of Liberty, we holding up the torch. If they ask where I'm from, tell them this is New York.
So I can get the clutch assembly in place because this bit here, this little relay thing here, was taking up the space where it lives. So I saw it had a little speaker on it, so I assumed that it was the beeper that goes off when you're in reverse. Quick little Google, it does seem to be a buzzer assembly. I think I'm going to disconnect it from this metal frame and tuck it up under there, because I think it might also do when you leave your lights on as well. But we'll see when we've got the conversion. There's no harm it being up there out of the way, somewhere safe.
Brooklyn, BK all day, BK all day, we go hard.
So I've swapped over the brake boosters on the master cylinder. So this is the master cylinder originally from this car, but this brake booster was from an NAR33, and I've fitted in, just sat in place there, but the pedal is all bolted in, the clutch master cylinder as well. So the next thing to do is to swap out this horrible little rubber bushing that sits in the steering rack there with this one, which is made by Franklin Engineering from New Zealand, and it's a really nice looking bit of kit. I've got a few other bits of their stuff as well for the engine, and it should be nice and simple, just a couple of bolts and swap it straight over. Well, that was easy, just 4 bolts, took a bit of grunt to get them off, but fits an absolute beaut, looks really good, and I know that is going to give a much better feel on the steering, because having driven these with the standard ones in, you just get a whole load of play in there as well. So that's it for this episode. It was very much a technical kind of episode, but in the next one we're going to be doing some wiring, we're going to be doing the engine. So yeah, lots left to do on this RB conversion, and if you like what you see, remember to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one.
Stress free, God got a bigger plan for you.